If you tell someone you're from Tennessee, there's only a couple of things that are going to come up with most people, and that is music and whiskey. And of course the music takes on a lot of different varieties. Some people will be talking about Elvis, others might be talking about country music, but when it comes to whiskey, there's really only one brand they're talking about, and that's Jack Daniels.
Jeff Arnett is not exaggerating. He is the master distiller at the Jack Daniels distillery, located in a small town of Lynchburg in Tennessee. Today, the famous whiskey is exported all around the world, but is made only here. 200 years ago, the whisker maker's founder, Jack Daniels, bought this valley for roughly $2,000.
Jack heard two things. Well, three things really. Number one, iron-free. If you have iron, it's going to ruin color and flavor. So iron's going to mess with the production process. This is limestone, and limestone rock is a natural filter of iron. So as the water goes down through the limestone, it's going to be naturally iron-free. It's going to have things like calcium, magnesium, which are good for making whiskey, but it's also very chilly, as you can feel. And what you need when you make whiskey is a cold water source for cooling certain things during the process. So this is 56 Fahrenheit all year round.
The process of making whiskey begins when water gets mixed with ground grain. The distillery doesn't try to keep their signature recipe a secret. It's 80% corn, 12% barley, and 8% rye. Then yeast is added to the mixture. When the fermentation process is complete, distillation begins.
Whiskeys are very much a product of their place. So the yeast culture that we use here was harvested from this area, so it has sort of a local flavor to it. The cave spring water that's used to make every drop of Jack Daniels only flows from one place. So, I think if you try to take Jack Daniels and move it to another location, that it just wouldn't be the same.
Another key ingredient is charcoal, also made locally. 16 stacks of maple wood are burnt here 3 times a week.
It's actually still smoking a little bit, but it's not hot. This is, in the world of science really, is activated carbon, which is an odorless natural filtration system.
Large barrels are lined with layers of charcoal, and the whiskey undergoes this natural filter for 3 to 5 days. This process is crucial for making good whiskey, according to Arnett. Without it, you end up with plain bourbon.
Overseeing the quality of what we produce here means that we're going to taste it at several different points in the process. But tasting is also not drinking, so we end up spitting it out. So you literally just put it in your mouth, kind of swish it around, spit it out, and then grade the flavor and character of it.
After tasting is complete, the whiskey is poured into barrels that have no glue or resin. The rest of the process is a waiting game.
So what we do is we call it maturation. We mature the whiskey. It doesn't sit in there for a certain time. It sits in there until it's ready. So we do everything to taste. We'll go in there at 4 years. We'll taste the whiskey. We'll see if it looks right, if it tastes right, if it smells right, and then we'll judge, is it ready or not.
Although anyone can try the whiskey at the distillery, it is impossible to buy a bottle of Jack Daniels in Lynchburg. The town's home county of Moore is a dry county, which means drinking alcohol is permitted, but buying it in a store is prohibited. For Lesia Bakalets in Lynchburg, Tennessee, I'm Anna Rice, VOA News.